I'm an animator, so I'm always behind the camera. I'm never in front. I'm not like the other guys who are used to the lens. My name is Ada, and my film is called Would You Please? Would You Please is about missing a person, and whether that person is in your life or whether it was, whether it will be, that's unknown. But it came, the film kind of came from personal experiences by having a long distance relationship. So that was the main starting point. Throughout the relationship we've seen each other here and there, and it's always been different places and traveling in between spaces and time zones, so that's something I really wanted to incorporate. And mainly when I was animating most of the scenes, I was missing her a lot, so every day I would just go and think about, okay, what is today feel like? How far do I feel from her? Or how close do I feel to her? Most of my scenes were based on those kind of drawings that I do separately, so a lot of my scenes were basically first illustrations. Originally, it was not meant to be a film. I never meant to make a film. It was, it came out of, I made the film in 2 months, basically. It was a very intense period where I didn't have a story, I didn't have a theme for the film, and I had just these scenes in my hand where when I put them together and I played around with it several times, so the story changed several times, and by the end I had the story with the missing girl. And then came the colors, and then it came complete, because I work in a very hectic, impulsive, quick way, and I like to work short amount of time on projects because I get very easily bored. So I've been drawing in that same style with the character, with the frames already for a couple of years, and once in a while I like to add color into them. My main inspiration for the colors were not really the colors themselves, but more what they represent, because I wanted to add a bit of dimension. And the colors actually came the last week before the film was finished, so it was a very last minute decision. And like all the decisions I ever make, it was very impulsive, and I chose red and blue for the character that was missing and yellow for the other character, and later on I discovered that it kind of represented sunshine. The yellow was the missing color from the life of the main character, where blue represents this kind of sadness and gloom, and the red is like love and passion, like the amount of love and passion the character had for the other character. And then when they kind of come complete in the end frame, you kind of see this illustration, painting, minimalistic with black kind of image where it feels complete. And when I add the colors, I saw that story also play out in that way, yeah. It was a couple of years ago that I started to turn the tragic events of my life into comedy, because that was a way of giving myself a sort of self-therapy. Because when I was going through difficult times, I would just make the character go to the same event, but eventually that made me laugh at the actual event that I went through my characters. So there is a lot of sadness in the film, but the humor comes from the side where, you know, you always should never take life too seriously or stuff like that, in a way. Humor is very hard to produce. It also takes a lot of courage, because you put yourself out there more than you would. I mean, of course, I'm not saying dramatic films with no humor is bad, but I believe that even the hardest things could be told with humor. So it was only when I had a very terrible breakup with my ex-girlfriend that I decided fuck this, I'm gonna make a parody out of it. And that was received better than anything I've ever made. So that was the realization of me saying, like, I'm in a fancy art school where nobody makes stuff that are funny, but I'm gonna do it. I think the humor in my film also comes from self-deprecation, and I think we all feel those kind of things sometimes where we are not very happy with our decisions. And even though it is very personal, I think the self-deprecating part of the humor is very relatable to everyone. Lena Dunham, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Hannah Gadsby, Samantha Irby, they were very inspirational because I've watched all of their shows, I've read all their books several times. I think specifically their influence was not only just from their humor, but also the confidence that they had when making stuff, and I really admire that, and having a part of the confidence that I have today is definitely because of them, and finding my sexuality, finding my gender, where I belong, and all these subjects were very important throughout my whole years in Kask. And I remember those days where I was very small, innocent, reading their books and thinking and dreaming and imagining one day whether I would have stories to tell just like them. And little did I know I was already collecting those stories, and now it is the time for me to tell them in my way. To be honest, winning the Wildcard was extremely insane. When I won, my first reaction was, holy shit, of course, but at the same time, it was definitely a life-changing opportunity for me, because now I get to work on a project and I can have a visa that allows me to stay in Belgium for another couple of years, because as a non-European citizen, visas, bureaucracy and politics and borders have been a big issue in my life. I've already started writing for my next film, and now that I have my style and I know how I want to tell stories, I know that there will be a lot of humor, and I think my next film will definitely be very political and socially challenging. And I mean, there are ways I'm thinking of incorporating these themes in this world, but always using symbolism and always using minimalism as my key point. I don't want my films to be only readable for people who do go through these struggles. I want it to be readable for everyone, not only the, I don't know, a 5-year-old, but also a 70-year-old who never maybe left his country. I want it to be understandable and universal, even though it's probably based on my life. And to do that, I think I have the perfect style to tell that kind of a story.